check in on registered offenders.
Break time is over. We are back to work with another round of thunderstorm activity now moving in. It's going to be one of those afternoons with the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And a bipartisan group of senators presses forward negotiating sticking points on federal gun reform.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Cherokee County conducts a countywide registered offender compliance check. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Tapping our first 7 minutes, a home-to-home investigation keeping tabs on registered offenders living in your neighborhood. Cherokee County is one of many counties partnered with Offender Watch, an app you can download to track offenders in your area. Sheriff David Grove says deputies and investigators conduct countywide operations several times throughout the year. He says the latest check showed over 95% compliance. Now, according to the KBI website, Cherokee County has 111 registered offenders. 8 are listed as non-compliant. Sheriff Grove says those found non-compliant have either been taken into custody already on new allegations of violating the Kansas Offender Registration Act or can expect to be arrested soon. Well, AAA says the national average price for diesel fuel right now is $5.52 per gallon. In our area, it ranges from a low of $5.05 per gallon in Oklahoma to a high of $5.17 in Arkansas. AAA says the national average for a gallon of regular gasoline is $4.62. In the 4 states, that ranges from $4.03 in Joplin to $4.14 in southeast Kansas. Rising fuel prices have forced some local farmers to increase prices and adjust their fuel consumption. KOAM's Jalen Banks visits with a Southwest Missouri farm family to find out more.
Inflation continues to rise across the country, most notably with fuel prices. This has impacted local family farms, forcing them to make changes that they did not want. The Mahler family farm and the Stormy farm have both had to increase their prices due to inflation. And as of right now, it looks like that's a trend that's going to continue.
And we've had to raise our prices because of it. So we used to give, there used to be $3 a pound for blueberries and strawberries, now it's $3.50 a pound.
Not only have they had to adjust their prices, but take into account when to travel and when not to.
As far as, getting back and forth and, you see days like this and you're like, well, is it even worth it to go to the market because we're under severe thunderstorms? Am I going to make my gas money and profit?
According to AAA, the national average price of diesel fuel is at $5.52, which is up 42% from a year ago.
Doing things on the farm with tractors and machines costs money, and if we're not making enough money to put fuel in the machines, then it gets much harder to do the work that we have to do.
In Southwest Missouri, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
Well, the sun is trying to peek out. It's not succeeding very well, though, just a little. Michael Aislip joins us with the first look at the forecast.
Tanya, it was almost like Mother Nature noticed it was high noon and she said, I better get back to work and bother Michael and Tanya because I gave you a little morning break. This is coming off of a late night, early morning where we picked up anywhere from 4 to 7 inches of precipitation. And now as we turn the clock into the afternoon, look at what we've got cooking out to the west. Here comes round 2 once again. We're not picking up any lightning with this, but this is similar to what we had this morning as far as the intensity of the rain. And just to compound everything, remember, we are still mired in the midst of all these flood warnings that have now been extended all the way into this afternoon, if not the flood advisories and watches going all the way into the midnight hour. And then as you drop down and you see those the darker swaths of green, those are actually river specific. And so, of course, we've got the Neosho that we're going to be eyeballing right there. Checked out the gauge down at Miami and the Commerce area. That thing probably is not going to crest down to the south until we get into Saturday. And so that's where we stand right now. Let's go ahead and we can reset, but just give you an idea about where everything's moving in from, because we knew round 2 was going to be on us as it moved out of central Oklahoma, central Kansas, and then moves east toward us. That being said, here's where we stand temperature-wise. If you were able to get a little peek of sun, it made quite a difference, especially down to the south right there, where we saw Joplin get to 75, Miami 76, still much cooler. up to the north. Yates Center still only at 63 degrees. So as we progress through this evening, we're going to remove the threat of the high wind and hail that we had last night. That is not going to be our issue. Our issue is going to be flooding because we've got an additional 1 to 2 inches before we're done with it. Thursday, a little bit of a different tune. Thursday, we will see sunshine. Tanya coming up here in just a little bit. Let's take a look at our preliminary numbers. New storm reports been rolling in all morning long. It was impressive what we got in the span of just 24 hours.
Yeah, it definitely poured on us for a while, that's for sure. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, child and teacher will each be laid to rest in Uvalde, Texas today, victims of last week's mass shooting at Robb Elementary School. The first of 21 funerals was held on Tuesday while authorities struggled to construct an accurate timeline and details of the horrific event. Law enforcement confirmed initial information about a teacher leaving a side door propped open was false. That door was closed but apparently did not lock as it is designed to do. CBS News has also learned the chief of police for Uvalde schools has stopped responding to state investigators seeking another interview. Renewed efforts continue to find common ground in Congress on federal gun control legislation and gun violence prevention in the wake of the recent mass shootings in Texas and New York. President Biden has vowed to get involved. Skylar Henry reports from the White House.
As the nation continues to grieve, an effort to strengthen federal gun laws is underway on Capitol Hill.
This is a test of democracy.
Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy convened a small group of colleagues from both sides of the aisle Tuesday to discuss background checks, red flag laws, safe gun storage, and school security.
I can't guarantee you that there will be a compromise, but I think we will know one way or the other by next week.
Their proposals would still face a tough road in the Senate, where Republican leaders do not agree guns are to blame.
The problem, which is mental illness and school safety.
President Biden says it's time for Congress to act to address the country's epidemic of gun violence, but is also looking at actions he could take on his own.
This president has done more executive actions at this point than any other president, but it's not up to him alone. He cannot do this alone.
The House Judiciary Committee is expected to meet Thursday to consider a gun legislation package which would, among other things, raise the age for purchasing a semi-automatic centerfire rifle from 18 to 21 years old. While the Protecting Our Kids Act would likely pass the Democratic-led House, it's unlikely to get the 60 votes needed in the evenly divided Senate. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
On Tuesday, New York State Democrats announced they will soon join 5 other states to ban the sale of semi-automatic rifles to people under the age of 21. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, a royal campout.
The final countdown for the Queen's Jubilee. I'm Ian Lee with royal superfans who crossed the pond for the Big Bash.
And later, we're making peanut butter s'more bars in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Americans are among some of the biggest fans of Britain's royal family who've camped out for days in London ahead of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. The 4-day party kicks off tomorrow. CBS's Ian Lee is there.
Donna Werner lives to capture royal moments, especially of Queen Elizabeth.
Everybody loves her around the world, not just in her country.
She's camped out for nearly a week with her best British buddy to celebrate the Queen's 70 years on the throne. Oh, and they came prepared.
Pictures of the Queen, I got the corgi, I've got the waving Queen going on, and the tiara.
But Donna's greatest hope? To sneak a peek of the 96-year-old monarch. Have you ever caught a glimpse of her?
Oh yeah, many times. She's tiny. She's tiny. I don't even think she's 5 foot tall.
People are wrapped up in the excitement. Street parties are planned across the nation. Some of the biggest near the Queen's royal residence in Windsor.
50 years ago, I remember the Queen coming to Trinidad, and as a little girl, having the opportunity to stand at the side of the street and wave.
The Queen will only be seen a couple of times during the festivities, but her image is everywhere. At the landmark Stonehenge, portraits of the monarch are projected onto the giant stones, with each marking a different decade of the Queen's 70-year reign. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
The first big event of the Jubilee will be tomorrow morning with the Trooping the Color. That's the massive military parade, which marks the Queen's official birthday. For the first time in her reign, the Queen will not be there to take the salute from her troops, but she's expected to make an appearance later on the balcony at Buckingham Palace. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Today's recipe screams summertime fun. So stick around because you'll want to take a batch of these wherever you go.
But first, Michael A. Slip returns with your complete forecast.
The amazing thing here is as we await round 2 and we take a sneak peek over 7th and Range Line, you got sunny skies, you got it's blue. Hey, we go, what in the world? What do you mean round 2? Well, look at what happens when we turn off to the west and you start to see that cloud cover growing right there on the horizon. And speaking of the west, that is where the thunderstorms are emerging from for what's going to take us really all the way through the evening hours. This is the system that was sitting over central Kansas and central Oklahoma earlier today while we had the overnight early morning thunderstorms. Then we got ourselves a nice little break. As a matter of fact, you cut this swath out of northeast Oklahoma, kind of range all the way up past the north side of I-44. That's where that sunshine will pop every now and then, but of course then growing out as you move out to the west. Give you an idea of the old storm cones and how it is tracking pretty much due toward us. Even some of that's backfilling right now out in the Oklahoma Panhandle, eventually moving our way as well. And when we talk about the rain from overnight, we've got places in Fredonia in southeast Kansas that are in excess of 7 inches, and even southwest Missouri, where it was kind of late to hit. We're picking up 3 in between Joplin and in Carthage, and of course that's why we got the amount of flood warnings that we do. Flood warnings lasting until 1. I know that those will not all be allowed to expire at 1. That's in the lime green, and then the little darker green you see, that is going to be a flood watch, and then the very dark swaths, those are flood warnings for our rivers, and you pick a river. Verdigris, Fall, Neosho, Osage, Little Osage. We got just about every single one of them right now under a flood warning with, of course, those different expiration times. Best thing to do is going to be stay off of those waterways until we get a chance to have some of those recede a little bit. 75 degrees is where we stand over Joplin, and we're going to be stuck there because the clouds will continue to grow as this latest front moves in. Cooler up to the north, still clinging to some 60s up there in Yates Center and Iola. Compare that way down to the south, throwing up some high 70s. Even in parts of like Welch and Grove, Joplin, very comfortable, 75 degrees. So don't expect a very big warm up after this because you can tell there's the cold front. That's where the thunderstorms are going to ride. But instead of moving up toward the northeast, going to have more of a west to east push for us for the rest of our Wednesday into Thursday. Now, coming off of last night where we recorded a 75-mile-an-hour wind gust. That's right, 75 miles per hour at Martin Johnson Airport in Chanute. We're going to take the low category on the severe thunderstorm risk map when we talk about the hail, possibility of additional high winds. We kind of shift that down to the south because we've got enough on our plate to worry about with just the amount of rain that we still have to pick up. So flooding going to be a concern for tonight. And once again, let's plan on flooding being a concern for tomorrow morning as well. But the closer we get to midnight, the closer we are to getting some sunshine. Roll this through. By the time we get to sunrise tomorrow, we'll see it gradually begin to clear off. Temperatures still going to be mild, though. We'll go a little bit below average for Thursday, and then by the time we get to Friday, that's when we really start. But one thing you'll notice about this contiguous 48, as far as the first weekend of June goes, it's kind of some widespread rain that we're putting up with just nationwide. Our rain won't kick back in until Saturday night, take us into Sunday. After that, Tanya, we do get to warm up, be back with seasonable temperatures in the 80s.
All right.
We're probably a little bit lucky that we're not spiking up right now to 85, 86, 87 degrees. It'd be a little steamy, you know, when we talk about the amount of rain that we already picked up.
Yeah, no kidding. That humidity on top of it. Ugh. Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, that would turn into mosquito central.
I asked you for temperatures, like a 5-day stretch of temperatures in the 70s, and
there
yesterday
you go.
was. I mean, I wasn't here to see it on the board.
Did you caveat that and say no rain either?
No.
Okay.
But see, no, I didn't.
Okay.
But I tell you what, I wasn't here to witness it, so I only see 4 on the board.
If a tree falls in the forest.
Nope, so you're only giving me 4. I need 5.
And I just want one day without rain.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
Not even a full day, though. Like, it'll be gone by...
99% of the 4 states going to be dry Friday.
That's good.
We're going to get, most people are going to get 2 days. Yeah.
There you go. That sounds good. Thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Purple Heart recipient Cecil Abercrombie in the U.S. Army. The Knoll, Missouri native fought at Normandy Beach and in Normandy from 1941 to 1944. Private First Class Abercrombie earned the Expert Infantryman Badge and a number of campaign medals. To Private Cecil Abercrombie, we thank you, our four-state hero. Too rainy to get out and campfire cook? Well, today Howard shows us how to make a cookie version of your favorite campfire treat, peanut butter s'mores bars, in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
If there's one dessert that shouts summer, it's got to be s'mores. But when we want them, we need hot coals to toast marshmallows. And when that's not possible, rather than simply passing them by, we created a bar cookie version that's anytime easy. We begin by beating some butter and sugar until it's nice and creamy. Once it is, we add in some peanut butter, an egg, and a splash of vanilla. After that comes together, we slowly mix in some self-rising flour and beat it until it creates a soft dough. Now we spread this into a baking dish and top it off with a jar of marshmallow cream. It's a good idea to spray our spreader with nonstick cooking spray so it doesn't stick to it. A few chocolate chips and roasted peanuts go on top before baking it off. And if you're thinking, wait, peanut butter doesn't belong in s'mores, well, after one bite, all of that will change. You see, with the combo of the chocolate and the marshmallow cream, along with all the peanut buttery richness, you won't even miss toasting marshmallows. So here's what I suggest. Go online and get the recipe for our peanut butter s'more bars as a way to welcome in summer with a dessert that's as portable as can be. I'm Howard from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a toasty and a gooey way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Yummy. Here's a look at our four-state market prices.
You're in the midst of flood watches and warnings this expansive. Might as well just plan on having water over the roads just like we did this morning for tomorrow morning. That way everybody can plan to be on the safe side. At least we will get sunshine for most of Thursday into Friday.
All right,
That's good.
What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5 is estimated between 10 and 30% of patients can suffer from long COVID after seemingly recovering from COVID-19. In Health Watch, we're going to look at new research showing even people who are vaccinated who have mild infections can experience lingering symptoms. Plus, Crawford County Mental Health is certifying residents in youth mental health first aid. And find out where you can find free summer meal programs for the family. Hope you'll join us for those stories. A whole lot more, of course. It's all coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.